The following is a non-profit fan-made story. The characters and properties in this novel are owned by their respective companies and creators. Please support the official releases. Also, this YouTube novel is rated M. Mature audience is 17 and up. Adult language and explicit violence are present. Viewer discretion is advised. Also, there are a lot of product placements and brands in this novel such as Samsung, Apple, Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, etc. None of them are sponsored in this novel. Previously on the Guardians of Earth, the nation of Japan was rocked by a series of earthquakes throughout, causing some to wonder when the next one will happen. Meanwhile, Miki Sugusa and General Shinsuke Shindo has suspicions and speculation that Godzilla III has returned after 10 years of absence. And as the country, along with East and Southeast Asia, keeps an eye on the Empire of Mongolia potentially starting another war, another earthquake causes Mount Fuji to erupt. The story continues after the eruption. The massive volcanic ash rises into the sky. The debris cloud slams into the dirt, taking out trees, plants, and some animals that didn't get the chance to run away. The smoldering mountain known as Mount Fuji erupts with a mighty explosion so loud it can be heard in a 100-mile radius. Lava pours out from the open side and flows down the mountain. Lightning bolts spark in and out around the ash cloud. For those away from the volcano, it is a spectacle both terrifying and awe-inspiring. For those closer to it, however, it is a horror film come to life. Hikers cough uncontrollably and are covered in volcanic ash from head to toe. Those that had taken cover still have to go to a safe distance as fast as they can, but navigation through a massive cloud is not ideal considering that there is no sunlight inside of it. For the Japanese scientists, the eruption of Mount Fuji is something that they never would have imagined in the modern day. December 16, 1707 was the last time that the volcano would erupt. 300 years later, it's now active. Within the Japanese government, they are trying to figure out what caused the eruption, what to do, and how to send aid to those affected by it. Unfortunately, the process of doing this is taking longer than usual. Thankfully, the news and social media are already on the situation. One of the news stations is NHK News, and the anchorman and woman are just about to go live to report the current event. Good morning, everyone. This is breaking news. Moments ago, Mount Fuji, a volcano that has been dormant for 300 years, has now become active. Yes, it has. We are told by the seismologist that a magnitude 5.0 earthquake was what triggered Fuji's eruption. Right now, we take you live to our news chopper. 800 meters up and 5 miles away from Fuji is the NHK News chopper. It hovers near the volcano, but not close to the volcanic ash cloud. The side door opens and the cameraman aims the camera at the mountain. A reporter next to him speaks into a microphone in his hand, reporting to his colleagues in the news station. A few moments ago, I believe a huge chunk of the southeastern summit collapsed as the earthquake waged on. It is very similar to how Mount St. Helens erupted back in 1980. As of now, the massive volcanic ash is moving south-southeast, so the threat level has decreased a little, but I'm guessing the authorities are not taking any chances, so evacuations are underway in the surrounding areas. On the ground in Fuji City, police are escorting and guiding pedestrians to safer areas. The reason is that there could be a possibility where high winds could blow the ash cloud towards the city, so it is being evacuated just in case. But not everyone chooses to heed the evac warning. The same photographers that took photos and filmed Fuji's eruption are not moving anywhere. In fact, they continue to film and take photos. 4 police officers, however, calmly informs and persuades them to leave, much to the photographer's disappointment. As the crew begin to put their equipment up in bags and cases, a sound stops them in their tracks. Not just them, but everyone on the streets, in buildings, in cars, in the forest, in an 18-mile radius stop as well. Even in the loud chopper, the pilots, cameraman, and reporter heard it. Some think that it was the sound of the volcano, but it did not sound natural. One of the photographers takes his camera out, turns it on, and aims it at Fuji. He searches at the summit, then aims it down. He stops at the base. He spots something coming out of the massive volcanic ash cloud, and he's not the only one. In the news chopper, the cameraman also points the camera at the base, and on the thing that is seemingly moving out of the cloud. Hey, what's that? Is something wrong? Yeah, we spot something coming out in the ash cloud. On the ground, the photographer gives the camera to one of the police officers. Hey, I see something coming out of the cloud. Wait, you do? The officer grabs the camera and looks at what the man is looking at. He finds the thing moving, walking, alive. An immediate thought comes into the minds. Wait, it's a kaiju. We have a kaiju coming out of Mount Fuji. The monster shakes the ash off of his body. Then he arches up and lets out a roar. The pressure of the roar cleans off the ash from his body. Now he is much more identifiable. The sound of the roar reaches 18 miles. The police officer, looking through the camera, becomes shocked, terrified, and takes a few steps back. Oh my God. What? What is it? In the chopper. Wait, is that? Oh my God, it is! In the command center of the JAMF HQ in Shinjuku, alarms go off all over the base. Soldiers, workers, and even scientists are scrambling to the stations. Keikaku, Kaiju Hakken. Alert, alert, Kaiju detected. This is not a drill. General Shinsuke Shindo and Miki Sagusa rush into the command center to see the alert on the main screen and Kaiju detector. Status report! We've detected a Category 4 Colossus, sir. What's the location? It's currently coming out of Mount Fuji? What the? I need a visual. The main screen switches to the live news. Immediately, with the monster in full view of the camera, there is shock in the diamond-shaped room. In Fuji City, the kaiju siren blares for the first time. Everyone can see the monster moving away from the cloud. Their reaction, too, is shock. What they are seeing is a monster that they thought had not been seen in 10 years. Boxy head with blue pupils, thick neck, long legs, sharper claws on fingers and feet, broader shoulders, a bear-like body with black reptilian skin, a whip-like tail, and make-believe dorsal fins that resembles his father and grandfather. His height is 120 meters, and he's moving in one direction. Godzilla is moving in one direction. Amelia Terasawa barges into classroom 2B full of students. Everyone looks at her, who looked like she just ran a marathon. In the middle of a lesson, the teacher angrily looks at her. Terasawa, why did you barge in here for? Aren't you hearing what's happening right now? Of course I do. Mount Fuji erupted and we can see the ash cloud rising into the sky. Now please leave. That's not the only thing that's happening. Godzilla's back. Suddenly, her words did not seem that she was joking around. In the other room, students heard the name and they become alarmed. The teacher, meanwhile, is not even amused. Amelia looks up at the TV in the corner above her. She turns it on and switches to the live news. Everyone in the classroom looks at the TV. The reaction is shock and disbelief. The reporter speaks his mind as this unfolds. I just can't believe this is happening right now. We haven't seen Godzilla in a decade, and here he is right in front of us. Everyone in classroom 2B are not saying a word. All eyes are on the screen. But they are not the only ones reacting to the sudden news. Throughout the entire school, the shocking news spreads like a wildfire. From classrooms to the gym to the teacher's lounge, the news is the return of Godzilla. And it's not just the Azumbu Junior and Senior High School that's getting the news. In other schools in Tokyo, in businesses, in local small and big restaurants, in homes, on the streets, in skating parks, in every district in and outside of Tokyo, from the southern tip of Kagoshima to the northern Hokkaido, the news is dominated by Godzilla's sudden return, and everyone is becoming aware of it. That includes the Japanese government. At the cabinet meeting room, the Prime Minister receives the word from his advisor. He is shocked to hear the news. He stands up, getting everyone's attention. Everyone, I've just been informed by my advisor. Godzilla has returned and is in Japan. All of the ministers are stunned at the news. I cannot stress this enough when I say this, but it has been a while since we had a kaiju attacking the country. I say we should take immediate action. But wouldn't that violate the Constitution? Article 9 of the Constitution does state that the country should not go to war. However, Article 104 states that the Anti-Megalosaurus Force is permitted to mobilize if a kaiju is sighted near or within Japan. So, I agree with the Prime Minister. I say we should act now. And I concur. The sooner the better. All in favor of attacking Godzilla now? All of the cabinet's hands raises up. All opposed? The hands go down. Then it's settled. Minister of Defense, contact Shindo and tell him he has permission to mobilize. In the command center of the AMF HQ, Shindo picks up the ringing red phone. Yes? Yes, sir. Well, thank you, but there aren't any divisions or brigades that are close to Fuji. Yes, the jets will do. Oh, wait, Jotaro! His battle squadron might be in Surga Bay. Yes, sir, I will give him a call right away. He hangs up the phone, takes out his own cell phone, and dials his brother's phone number. Finally, it answers. Jotaro, it's me. Oh, perfect. I was just about to tell you. How fast can you get there? Okay, good. Try to get him away from the city. Alright, stay safe. As he puts his phone in his pocket, Miggy taps him on the shoulder. What is it? It's actually him. What do you mean? It's the same one from 10 years ago. Wait, is it? He looks back at the screen and looks at Godzilla. I need an analysis on this Godzilla. The operator brings up an analysis on the main screen. It scans the monster from head to toe, or tail. An image of Godzilla in 1999 pops up on the screen next to the current one. The images match, and the system is confirming it. Holy shit, it is him. Well, that confirms that this is Godzilla the Third. Question is, where the hell has he been? I don't know, but I'm gonna have to ask him. Wish me luck. Yeah, sure. Wait, what? The general turns around to see the telekinetic Empress covered in green aura and levitating in the air. She flies out of the command center, through the hallway, up the emergency stairwell, out of the garage, and out of the building into the outside, heading for Fuji. Shinsuke, meanwhile, shakes his head in disappointment. Why am I not surprised? God damn it, Mickey. "6 miles off the coast of Fuji City in Surga Bay, a group of ships slows down to 2 knots. The captain of each ship shouts, 'All hands, prepare for combat!' The sailors and crewmen and women on every deck are in their battle stations, all wearing life jackets just in case the ship might get hit and sink. These aren't just any ships. They are the ships that form the 22nd Battle Squadron, one of the 4 strongest squadrons of the JMSDF. In it are 4 guided missile Kongo-class destroyers, Kongo, Kirishima, Myoko, and Chokai. Each with a displacement of 7,250 tons standard load, a top speed of 30 knots, a complement of 300 each, and armed with a 5-inch naval gun, 8 Harpoon anti-ship missiles and quad canisters, 2 triple-bell 20mm torpedo launchers able to launch Mark 46 and 73 torpedoes, and a 90-cell Mark 41 vertical launching system. Next are the 2 Abakuma-class destroyer escorts, Abakuma and Jinsu, each with a complement of 120, a displacement of 2,000 tons, standard load, a top speed of 27 knots, and armed with 8 Harpoon missiles, a 76mm gun, a 20mm CIWS, and 2 HOS 301 triple-barrel tubes that can launch 324mm torpedoes. And then there are the lead ships. They are not destroyers nor destroyer escorts. They are the battle carriers of the JMSDF and JAMF, the Shirogane-class battle carriers, Hoshi Shirogane and Gin Sensha, each with a displacement of 41,442 tons standard load, a top speed of 36 knots, a complement of 2,166, and 245.2 meters in length. Their armament at the front of the ship consists of 2 twin-turreted 20-inch 50-caliber rifles, 2 single-turreted 76mm guns, 2 CIWSs, and anti-surface and anti-submarine missiles. Of course, they have the flight decks, which makes up the other half of the ship, and is 113 meters in length. On the sides of the flight deck are 4 M2 Browning machine guns and 2 30mm Vulcan miniguns, both for anti-aircraft defense. Underneath the flight decks lies McDonnell Douglas AV-8V Harrier IIs, though the ships can only carry up to 8 jets each. Those Harriers are now being loaded with 4 special Mark 12 KAP Kaiju armor-piercing bombs that carries a warhead of 2,500 pounds of explosives. Meanwhile, the 20-inch and 76mm naval guns are being loaded with the same KAP, but in shell form. On land, the ground forces will not be able to get to the Kaiju in time, partly because one half can't get there because of the massive volcanic ash cloud. However, it is the opposite for the air. The multi-role Mitsubishi F-2 fighter jets takes off from the airfields of Tachikawa and Tokyo and heads for Mount Fuji. On the battle carrier Hoshi Shirogane, a man that stands at 6 foot 5 inches and wearing an all-black captain's uniform with its military-style trench coat unbuttoned stands with one hand in his pocket and the other hand holding a pair of binoculars. On board his flagship, the leader of the 22nd Battle Squadron, Admiral Jotaro Shindo, age 24, looks through his binoculars. He spots Godzilla moving at a very steady pace, which is good news for the Admiral. Now, he has to wait for the F-2s to arrive, but he doesn't have to wait long. The fighters fly over the volcanic ash cloud and over the monster's head at a height of 500 meters, catching his attention. One of the pilots relay a message to the battle squadron the coordinates of Godzilla's current location. 351734 north, 1384307 east. Admiral Jotaro turns to his crew. Send out the Harriers! On the flight decks, 2 Harrier 2s on both battle carriers sits and waits on catapults. When the order comes in, it is time. The engines roar, and the jets are launched into the air. The fighters turns to the right towards the monster. The 4 guns on every ship faces the port and elevate to the coordinates. As the Harriers fly over the monster, the pilots measures the distance between him and Fuji City. It is a good 8.7 miles from the city. So, it's now or never. The pilots give the signal. Break formation, go in for the attack. A platoon of F-2s goes in for the attack. They dive onto the target at 800 meters. 5 drops 1,000-pound bombs onto Godzilla, then bank away. Most of the bombs makes a direct hit. Explosions covers the monster in just a millisecond. The smoke clears, no damage is made onto him, but it did stop him in his tracks. He growls in frustration. He looks to his right and sees another group drop their bombs. As the bombs fall towards him, an electric bubble shield forms around him, and the bombs explodes on the shield. This is shocking to the sailors and airmen, as well as everyone watching the event via the NHK news chopper. The shield disappears, and the Colossus waits. He turns around and sees 2 Harriers coming in dropping their bombs. Once again, the bombs hit the shield. However, the shield fades a little, and some manages to hit his body. When the smoke clears, his skin regenerates within a second. Godzilla turns and lets on an oscillatory wave, vaporizing only 1 Harrier. 6 bombs fall and explode on his back or near him by 3 F-2s. His dorsal fins glow bright blue, quickly turns his back and fires dorsal beams, taking out 2 of the F-2s. On his flagship, Jotaro gives another order. All ships, fire double salvo and reload. The 20-inch guns of both battle carriers, as well as the destroyers and destroyer escorts guns, opens fire, with said destroyers launching their guided harpoon missiles. For 20 to 30 seconds, the KAP shells and missiles travel over the city. As soon as Godzilla stops firing his dorsal beams, the shells and missiles comes crashing down. Most of them hit, but some did miss. As the smoke clears, Godzilla looks into the direction of where the shells and missiles came from. The tip of his reptile-like tail glows blue. The light goes up from the tail to the dorsal fins to the back of his head. His back generates electricity. Blue lights cover his eyes. Inside of his mouth, as it opens, glows with an ominous blue light. He inhales and fires an atomic ray, an upgraded version of his atomic breath, but it's more laser-like. The atomic ray breaks the sound barrier 20 times in 3 seconds, travels 14.8 miles across the open plains over a portion of Fuji City, hits and penetrates the destroyer Myoko. The ray tears through the ship with ease, causing first and secondary explosions, turning the ship into a burning coffin. 300 immediately dies. The shockwave rocks the other ships around it, disrupting the systems for a brief moment. Godzilla moves the atomic ray to the left and hits the destroyer Chokai, destroying the ship, killing another 300. The atomic ray finally disappears, but Godzilla's back still glows. All ships, full broadside and reload! The ships returns fire. At the same time, both the remaining Harriers and F-2s drops their bombs onto the kaiju. Looking all around him, Godzilla sees them all. He angrily roars and prepares himself. The bombs, shells, and missiles comes in at all angles. Suddenly, they all stop in midair before they come into contact. They are frozen. Everyone on the ships looks on in confusion. Is this another ability of Godzilla? Well, Godzilla himself seems confused. He looks at all of the projectiles and bombs. They are all frozen in midair. That is, until he looks closer at those projectiles and bombs. They are all covered in green aura that he is familiar with. He looks to his left, then to his right. Then he looks down below. Standing at 100 yards away from him is a single human that has green aura all over her. In the bridge of the Hoshi Shirogane, Jotaro, looking through his binoculars, knows exactly who stopped those projectiles. Oh, god damn it. All ships, hold your fire! The bombs and shells flies away from Godzilla, crashing and exploding to his left. The green aura disappears, and the green aura around the human disappears. The telekinetic empress, Miki Sagusa, turns around, looks at the Monster King with a smile on her face, and waves hello to him. Godzilla's anger subsides. The light in his dorsal fins fades away. In the AMF HQ in Shinjuku, General Shinsuke looks on with worry. Everyone watching on TV looks on in confusion. Miki raises her hands and communicates to him using sign language. "Welcome home, Junior." Godzilla gives a low grumble in response. "Where have you been?" Godzilla lifts his hands and uses sign language to communicate back. "I had a duty to fulfill in another world." His words confuses Sagusa, though looking at his body there are visible battle scars, so she can sort of understand what he meant. "At least you're alright. Why did you decide to come back?" "Something has called upon me, and I am not going to ignore it no longer." Godzilla steps over Miki and walks away from her. Watching him, she becomes confused on what he said. Then a thought comes into her mind. Suddenly, her phone vibrates and she answers a call. "Hello?" "What the hell is wrong with you?" "Jotaro? I witnessed it all from the bridge of my ship. It's a miracle that you're even alive. Now, get out of the way so we can continue." "Wait, Jotaro! I think another kaiju is calling Junior out." "What? Why would you assume that? If there was another kaiju, we'd be able to detect it." Miki thinks long and hard of what the Admiral said to her. But then, another thought enters her mind. What if that other kaiju is not in Japan? That revelation gives Jotaro some thought into the matter. Suddenly, he realizes that there is another kaiju that might be calling him out. Not in Japan, but across the Pacific. "Miki, I know what you're thinking of. Get to the Hoshi Shinigami, quickly!" A few minutes later, Godzilla enters eastern Fuji City. As he plows through, Miki is doing her best to get some civilians out of his way. The JAMF are holding fire to avoid any more damage. Finally, Godzilla enters the bay. Like a crocodile, Godzilla swims away from the city with his dorsal fins sticking out. He dives under the ships and resurfaces on the other side. Sagusa, meanwhile, waves to a group of civilians goodbye and flies onto the forward deck of the Hoshi Shinigami. The ship, along with her sister ship and others, picks up speed and follows the Colossus. As Sagusa stands against the guardrail and Jotaro stares through the windows of the bridge, they realize it's going to be a long trip across the Pacific. If they are correct on this, Japan will not be the only one to deal with Godzilla. Next time, Godzilla heads east. What is Dragonborn?